Here with Lewis Baumann, a junior shortstop on the BSU baseball team. Lewis, just kind of talking about how you got to BSU and your time so far here. So why don't you start with why you chose Bemidji State?
My parents are both from Minnesota, and wanted to get back up here. I got aunts and uncles and grandparents that are up here, so wanted to get back to Minnesota and had an opportunity to come here. My high school coach played under Tim at Kansas Westland, and so that was my connection, and got here, loved the area, and so happy I chose Bemidji.
You're 6'2", maybe a little tall for the middle infield shortstop position. Have you always played shortstop, or what was your kind of position progression through your playing days?
I started out as a first baseman when I was younger, and played with a couple kids, and they got a little bit older and they weren't on the team anymore, and we needed a shortstop, so I switched over to shortstop when I was probably about 13 and just been there ever since.
How was your, going back a few years now, how was your transition from high school to college ball?
It was rough for me. I came in and didn't really know what to expect, and it showed that my first year I really had some struggles, but I think I worked hard and picked it up, and it's gotten better throughout the years.
How about now the last 2 seasons with the BB Corps, bats changing, both as a position player and as a hitter? How has that changed for you?
Last year was different, both offensively and defensively. You couldn't, when you were playing defense, you couldn't hear the old ting anymore, so you had to read balls a little different, and it changed the way you play defense. And obviously with hitting, the ball's not going to go as far, you're not going to get as much pop, and it's changed the way we hit too. We got a situational hit and bunt, move guys over. It's not just a power game anymore.
How has that been for you? You've been mostly in that 8-9 spot this year, having to maybe set up some guys or try and get on base for those guys at the top of the lineup.
Yeah, the short game's an important part of my game. It's kind of my role as being the 9 hitter, just to roll the lineup over, try and get on base and get guys over so those guys at the top can drive in the runs for the team.
How about back to defensively with the BB Corps? Obviously, it's wanting to change that exit speed. Mm-hmm. Shortstop, you get a little more breathing room than some of those corner infielders, yeah. But has that changed a little bit, being able to not expect a ball to come back almost 100 miles an hour at you?
Yeah, you got a little more time out there, and that's nice, but also when the ball gets there slower, you got to get rid of it faster, so it's a trade-off both ways.
Just talking about baseball in general, what's your favorite part of just the game?
My favorite part is defense, and it's always kind of showed I haven't been the greatest hitter throughout my career, but the defense thing is something I've always taken pride in, and something I can control when I'm out there, and no matter if you have a bad at bat, you can always go out and play some defense and try and help the team that way.
How about, do you have a fondest memory so far of your baseball, whether it's playing or watching, growing up, favorite team, any sort of memory that sticks out in your mind?
I was really young, and being from Colorado, I'd never been to a professional baseball game, and I came to a Minnesota Twins game in the Metrodome, and I just remember being there, and it was such an amazing experience. And everyone says they don't like the Dome or whatever, but I love playing there. I think it's one of the most fun places that we play, and I really enjoy the time we spend there.
Continuing with that thought, then, how is it playing on a big league facility like that?
It's fun. I mean, you're going to get good hops out there because the turf, obviously, and it's a big park, so the gaps are big, and there's a lot of room to bang the ball around.
How about any rituals? I mean, baseball is sort of synonymous for people having their pre-game or during the game rituals, or would you have anything like that?
Yeah, there's superstitions all over. I mean, last weekend we had a good first day at Concordia and wanted to eat the same thing for breakfast and do the same thing in the morning, but they didn't have the same breakfast, so we were everyone was thrown out of the loop because it's not good to change a baseball player's habits that they have, and just whenever something works, you stick with it, and when it doesn't, you switch, so just trying to find the right combination.
How about, I heard there's a little ritual in between innings after the throwdown with you and the second baseman. you do maybe something different each time, or do something to get yourself ready for that inning. Kind of talk about that.
Yeah, we last weekend it was working where the second baseman would catch it on the throwdown and he'd flip it up, and then I'd bat it into the ground and pick it up and throw it to third base. I don't know. It started one time it was an accident, and we had a good inning, and from there I just kept doing it, and guess it worked for us.
Do you have any sort of baseball habit that you've picked up, whether it's got to have a pocket full of seeds, or got to have your chewing gum, or anything like that?
I chew sunflower seeds a lot. It's something, just part of the game. I mean, being outside, you can't do that when you're playing basketball, spitting seeds on the court, but when you're playing baseball, you can spit them anywhere, and it's just part of the game, I feel like.
I'm going to talk about your hairstyle and facial hairstyle you've chosen during your time here. You had a pretty good flow going, especially last year. I know this year's mugshot, you got a nice little mustache going. Just kind of talk about your hairstyle and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I was pretty clean cut in high school and got to college and just kind of started experimenting with it. And the hair got long and out of control, and I just kept going with it. And when I was able to donate it last Christmas, so for cancer patients. So just got growing it and kept going, and I was glad it could go to a good cause, and now I'm trying to get it back. And when it comes to the facial hair, it's just whatever's working. It's a superstition thing again.
Talk a little bit about Bemidji and what you've been able to experience here. I mean, you're from Colorado Springs. Obviously, Colorado is just a beautiful, lush country that, you can do almost anything, whether it's skiing, fishing, all that kind of stuff. Have you translated that experience into Bemidji a little bit?
Mm-hmm. I love fishing, and in Colorado we do a little bit of it, and then Minnesota, obviously, there's way more, so the fishing's a lot better here. But I do miss the mountains back in Colorado, but then when I'm there, I miss all the lakes and the woods and the trees that we have up here, so it's kind of a trade-off.
How about the elevation? People always say when you go out there, it's different. I have the basketball team went out there, and you got to go play and run. And do you feel that when you come back to Bemidji, or then when you go back home?
Yeah, when I've been here for a while and then I go back to Colorado, I notice it's a little tougher to breathe. The air is a little thinner, and then once I'm there for a while, it helps coming back because with conditioning and running and stuff, I have a little advantage over everyone else.
Well, Lewis, thank you very much for your time with us today, and good luck the rest of the season.
Thanks for having me.